Okay guys, so you might be wondering, what is a plotter? Figured I'd go over that real quick before I jump too far into things. This is our plotter. Love the little mustache that I threw on there just for the hell of it. Now you can cut vinyls, you can cut paint protection film, you can cut window tint, all patterns for the car. It's a 40-inch plotter. We got it back 2007, 2008-ish for around $5,500. Now they've dropped a lot in price, but you're gonna be, if you want a decent one, you're gonna be spending probably around $2,200 on a plotter for about a 40-inch plotter. They usually go up from there. They go as far as, I believe, 60-inch plotters. Also, one thing to keep in mind is the software. You want to make sure you have a good software to go along with it. We use Lumar Precision Cut for a lot of paint protection patterns, and we also use, we just got Tint Tech 2020. It also does paint film, and it does window tint patterns as well, which we're primarily using it for the window tint patterns right now. Still a little iffy on it, but it's a lot better than Precision Cut in my opinion for the window tint patterns. So just keep that in mind. You are going to be paying monthly costs on software too, so that kind of blows. It's usually around, for decent software, you're going to be paying around $140 to $150 a month for the software alone, on top of paying a big price for the plotter. But the point is, it's supposed to save you enough time to make up for itself in cost, and that it's true to some extent. It really does save you a lot of time if you have, you know, glass boards all over the shop, and you're set up properly for it. So there are some things that we need to change. We need more glass boards, which I've been trying to get here for a long time. But, you know, sometimes you get them, sometimes it takes a lot longer than you'd like. So that's the nature of Auto Tint City. At least for what I want to get done here. Alright guys, so I'm going to show you how to use the plotter, or basically what it'll do for you to save you time. So it's doing this thing right now, it's getting set up. So I got this Taurus right here, so I'm going to cut out patterns for that, and I'm going to see how well they line up and what the plotter is all about. Okay, so this is my software. I know there's a lot of icons in the background, but please try and ignore those. I'll clean that up someday. So these are all the patterns I have for this model Taurus. As you can see, there's a lot. There's ones with big third brake light cutouts, one with a couple small ones. You got defroster tabs, you got just a solid back piece if you want to cut out your own defroster tabs. Quarter windows, door windows. This is just the positioning of them, so ones will go sideways cut out and ones will go vertical, so it's real quick. Drop it into the my cut screen here, and it'll feed through this way. So all the patterns that are going this way will show up this way. And then that'll show you how to cut. It'll give you all your dimensions, what room you have to work with, or how big your patterns are. So I'm just using a 24-inch roll because this is a little bit wide. I only have a 36-inch roll at the widest, so I can't cut both of these out at once. So I just got to do one set at one time. So I got the driver's side cut out, and I'm going to do the passenger side, so I just highlight that, click it, make sure my plotter is all set up, which I already did, and then I click send. So basically what it's doing right now, it's actually etching into the film layer, cutting directly through it, but not through the liner side. So, and I'll show you when I go over to the glass board what that actually does for me. It's going to just cut out my pattern right now, just like a regular printer would print it on a machine. This is pretty much how it cuts. And take this over to the glass board. Okay, so I put this on the glass board and the tint side is facing me. You can kind of see that etch line in it right now. And I have a quarter window and one rear door window for 04 Taurus. So basically I'm going to show you what this will do for me. It should be real easy to do. Hopefully my blade's set up right. So basically, I'm going to feel this, and then when I hit the edge, you can see my tint just peels away. So I still have my liner side, so I actually have to go through and weed this whole pattern. I'm going to flip this sideways for you guys. so you can see this a little bit better. So I got my quarter window and I got my door window. My door window's upside down right now, and the tint side's still facing me. So what I gotta do is all this clear liner, I have to trim it so I can shrink and install my pattern. Peel this away, move my quarter, make sure that, get all my excess so it's easier to manage, that sort of thing. Now what I can do with this is actually flip it around, cart it down, and take my heat gun. I'm actually going to shrink it on a flat window. Let me get me in there a little bit. So I'm going to take this window, curl it back in this bottom edge, so now I'm getting this little curl in it. I'm still pretty new to this whole snapping thing, but you get the idea of what's going on. Now I got this nice curl going in here. Still got some fingers. I'm going to shrink those out real quick. So now that I got these weird kind of fingers going in here, and if I were to peel this back and let it sit, it's not going to lay flat anymore because it's curved. So it's going to go on the inside of the window pretty easily if my cuts are right, and I'm not going to have to shrink it on the car itself. So this will save you quite a bit of time. Now, on one window, it's not really going to save you much time at all, but what it really saves you time on is the entire car. So if you cut out a couple patterns at once, get everything all laid out, and then the installation should be pretty quickly, theoretically. Now, I've had problems with plotters in the past, and I really like the concept and the idea, but what it boils down to is my cuts. If my cuts are not right, because this has been cut on one Taurus sometime in the past, you're basically saying it's okay for every Taurus on that model year. So, it's not every pattern is going to be perfect. That's not what it's for. Not every pattern is going to be 100% because every window is just a little bit different. But what it's going to do is the majority of your film, majority of your window tint is going to match up, save you time, make more money. That's the idea. So that's basically it. It'll be easier for beginners to learn on a plotter because you already have your pattern. Shrinking it's pretty easy, at least for the door windows. And insulation is probably the hardest part you're going to have to learn. So it's a good alternative, but I definitely recommend learning how to hand cut first before you actually use plotter cut patterns. But if you have the money, get a plotter. It's a great investment, and we'll see right now how well it actually goes into this Taurus. Now you can also get a good idea of how your pattern is actually going to line up on the inside of the window by placing it on the outside and looking at this top edge. Now, this edge you can see goes into the seal about 1/4 of an inch, and this one kind of falls short right in here. It follows my curve real well, but it falls short right here. Now, it's kind of weird. This cut should have actually gone this way a little bit more, so if I want to, I can actually trim it. But that's not what a plotter is supposed to do. You're supposed to just cut it, weed it, and install it, and just go with how it is. If you have any problems, you can always, if you have a good plotter software, you can always call them for support and get them to change a pattern as you need, or sometimes you can go into the software yourself and edit a pattern as you like. So, let's try the actual installation. Now, I have excess liner, so it actually makes it easier to peel, but I still have to clean my window first, so I'm just going to tag it down in place. It's kind of difficult to tell, but right in there it is. You can see it kind of fell short a little bit. Top edge looks pretty good. Nothing abnormal about it. That edge went in just fine. And I will tint the rest of my window, and then we'll see what the rest of it, if any other lines pop out. Now you can see what I mean by this curl. You can really see it in here. If you shrink it a bit too much, this isn't going to want to lay down and it's going to crease a lot in here. So you just want to kind of curl it a little bit, but it makes the shrink patterns look a little different. So the lines up here, up and down, you get kind of like a smile going on in the window. Okay, now you can see my edge is actually gone because that window shifted back up into the seal a little bit, just enough to cover up that gap. So you see it when it rolls down slightly. If you're super picky, you know, it'll be a problem. So this software that I use is called TintTech 2020. I used Lumar Precision Cut in the past, and I'm still going to use it, I think, for paint film, but I'm trying out a new software. The patterns so far seem to be a little bit more precise and reliable. I've been using it for about a week now, so that opinion may change, but overall I was real happy with this window. It's a fairly difficult car to tint for you know, an average tinter, beginner tinter. So you know, I've never liked cutting these cars out personally. You usually got to leave an edge short because the seals are so tight, but on this it actually anticipated that and gave me just a little bit of room to work with. So whoever cut this pattern out and sent it to them, props to them. It worked out very nicely. So we'll see how the rest of the car does, and then I'll give you the rest of my opinion. So I have my back window all cut out, but as you can see, I hope, you can still see the etch. I actually cut my film wide, and this is so I'm not gonna frill up the liner when I shrink it. So it'll shrink a little bit of extra tint along with the liner, and then it'll peel off along with the edge all at once, and you'll see that in a minute. So I'm gonna go ahead through and shrink this. Okay, so now I'm gonna peel this, and I have a lot of extra, but because it etched into the film, and now I have the liner side up, if I peel this all together at once, it should all just make a clean cut around it, and I can go and install my pattern, because I already have it cleaned right now. So, here's a try. Cut out my defroster tabs too. Look at that. See, you can see the pattern. It's already cut out. All of it came real clean. Now I just got my pattern. It's all shrunk, ready to go. Okay, now I want to show you guys something. Now as you can see, they have a couple different cutouts. They have one with the defrosters, one with third brake light, and then this one right here is just a solid back window. Now I'm going to show you why you would want to pick this one on this car over this one. I did one prior to this and everything turned out okay, but on this one in particular, tried to line it up as best as I could, but you can see there's a very ever so slight light gap there. You'll definitely be able to tell from the driver's seat. There's not one on that side. That one I tried to match up with the other side, and it just wouldn't give me, it's just barely off to give me a light gap. So that's why you would want to cut out a solid one. So they make stuff called tint markers, and you can use those. I don't really recommend it, but it'll get you out of a tight spot like that, for instance, especially if the customer doesn't really care about his car, he just wants to slap some tint on. But I'm gonna end up retinting this one just to make it look that much better, because that's what we do here. So you know, you can get away with it, and like I said, the plotter will save you quite a bit of time. It's not perfect, like also on this window here. I tinted, you saw that gap in the other one and it went away, but on this one, if you can still see it, you may not, there it is, you can barely see it. There is a little bit of a gap that shows on that. So, like I said, it's not 100% perfect, but the rest of the car turned out awesome. And, you know, doing this video didn't save me a ton of time, obviously, because I have to set up my camera and stuff. But, you know, if I have my plotter, a little bit of a wider roll for the doors to cut out all on one sheet, and, you know, different one for the back window, it would save me, you know, a fair amount of time. Especially for beginners, if you're not very familiar with hand cutting, or you know, you can do it to get you out of a tight spot, but this would just save you a lot of time. So these are the type of kits that I'm going to be selling to you guys, but with that warning that they're not going to be perfect, they're not going to be 100%, they're not going to be as good as hand cutting or filing windows, but for a good alternative, it makes it easier to do, especially if you just want to throw some tin on your car, and you know, if you really, really bad at hand cutting, then you're going to want to order these. So there's other sites right now that offer pre-cut tint patterns with miscellaneous films. They don't really tell you that, so watch out for that. But I will be, once I get a website up, I'll offer tint kits. So thank you guys for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe if you so choose, and I'll see you in the next video.